You know, we're all asking ourselves questions all the time, right? But what if the single most important question, the one that's really in the driver's seat, is one you don't even know you're asking? Today, we're going to find that hidden script and figure out how to write a better one. This quote from Greg Lavoie just hits the nail on the head. It's this idea that our questions are literally the architects of our lives, laying down the bricks for the path we walk every single day. They're not just random thoughts, they're the steering wheel. And that is the heart of what we're digging into today. What if there's one powerful, invisible question that's been secretly calling the shots your whole life, like a kind of unconscious program running in the background that you never even realized was there?
To really get how this hidden script works, let me tell you a story about someone who was so sure she was in complete control of her life soundtrack.
So meet Ankara Davies. She was convinced the theme song for her life was Frank Sinatra's My Way. And, she looked the part. She saw herself as this total free spirit making all these unconventional choices. From working overseas to launching her own ventures, she really believed she was carving out her own path on her own terms.
But here's where it gets interesting. Underneath all that My Way swagger, Davies was actually marching to a totally different tune. Her hidden, unconscious question was, how can I get it right? And that question, that fear of getting it wrong, was what actually drove her to constantly jump from one thing to the next, always searching for the newest right path instead of truly following her own.
This is what the source material calls a primary question. It's this deep, often invisible question that guides our behavior day in and day out. And its main job? It's to keep us safe. It's trying to protect us from our biggest fears. Failure, shame, not being loved. Think of it like your brain's default security system.
All right, take a look at some of these examples. Do any of them sound familiar? How can I get people to like me? Well, that can turn you into a chronic people pleaser. Or, how can I guarantee it? That one can lead to total analysis paralysis. See how they silently shape our world?
Okay, so how in the world do you find your own? Well, the good news is, even though it's hiding in plain sight, it's not impossible to uncover if you know where to look.
Let's walk through this. First, just think about an area in your life where there's friction, where you feel kind of stuck. Then you got to dig a little deeper and ask yourself, what am I really afraid of here? Is it looking stupid, losing someone's approval? Once you can name that fear, you can start to see the question you've been asking to try and avoid it.
Now, finding that limiting question is huge. But guess what? You're not stuck with it. Now comes the fun part, actively rewriting your script. And listen, this isn't another chance for that old, how can I get it right, question to sneak back in. Seriously, you don't need the perfect new question. You just need one that feels empowering, one with words that shift your focus away from fear and scarcity and toward appreciation and what's possible.
This was the new question that Ankara Davies created for herself. Just feel the difference, right? It shifts from a place of needing to prove something to a place of just appreciating the now and sharing what's already inside her. It's a total game changer.
Rewriting your primary question is an amazing first step, but the real power comes when you make asking yourself good questions a regular practice. So let's explore a few more that can really open up new doors in your mind.
Let's kick things off with the big one, fear. We all deal with it, right? But asking the right questions can completely change our relationship with it.
Just let that sink in for a second. This question just slices right through all the excuses and the what-ifs and gets to the heart of what you truly want. What's that big dream that your fear is holding hostage?
Oh, this is such a powerful reframe. It forces you to actually weigh the two. Is the short-term sting of trying and maybe failing worse than the long-term ache of never, ever knowing what might have been?
Okay, enough about what holds us back. Let's flip the script and talk about what pulls us forward. What about questions that can lead us to more joy and, that feeling of fulfillment?
This is a classic for a reason. The answer to this points you directly toward your flow state. Those things you do where you're so absorbed, so in the zone, the time just melts away. That's where your passion is hiding.
Really pay attention to the moments that pop into your head here. Is it when you're making something? Out in nature? Deep in conversation with someone? Your answers are basically a treasure map to building a life that feels more vibrant.
So we have all these amazing, powerful questions. But how do we make this, real? How do we take this from just a cool idea and an explainer to something we actually do in our lives? Let's get practical.
Look, this isn't about finding one perfect final answer.
It's a practice. So maybe just pick one question a day to think about. Journal on it without judging what comes out. Talk about it with a friend you trust. And definitely come back to the ones that make you squirm a little. The answers you have today might be totally different a year from now, and that's actually a really good sign. It means you're growing.
It really all comes down to this. Your inner dialogue matters more than you can imagine. Shifting from those limiting, fear-based questions to ones that are expansive and empowering, well, that's one of the most profound changes you can ever make. It's the difference between living a life of reaction and living a life of intention.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Instead of worrying about all the things that could go wrong tomorrow, try asking yourself this instead. Let curiosity and a little bit of excitement be your guide. What amazing new answers might you discover?